If you have homeschoolers who are college bound and you're not exactly sure what you need, then this is the video for you. Hey friends, so I just went through this past spring and summer, the whole college thing, and there are many misunderstandings about homeschoolers and college. Probably the biggest one is most people have this notion, I don't know why, I don't know where this came from, probably something in the 80s and 90s that just got carried over to this. Most people who don't know anything about homeschooling just assume that homeschoolers cannot go to college, cannot join the military. That is simply incorrect. It's completely incorrect. Actually, the process is really no different for homeschoolers than it is for every other kid, no matter if they went to private school or if they went to public school or if they were homeschooled. It's pretty much the same across the board. Now, there are a few exceptions that I have come across, but I mean, we're talking fewer and fewer and fewer because there are more and more and more homeschoolers. So as the movement of home education has grown, the options for homeschoolers have exploded. And really, they're being treated just like anybody else applying for college. So here are the 3 things that you will need to focus on if your child wants to go to college. So if you're new here, my name is Mandy. I am a 10+ year homeschooling mom. I used to work in the education field and I knew too much and I pulled my kids out and started homeschooling. So we've been homeschooling since before it was cool. And on my channel here, you will find all kinds of educational resources, videos just like this one, and lots of curriculum reviews. So if you are interested in that, make sure that you subscribe to my channel for all of that content. All right, so hopefully this will be a pretty short and sweet video because there's not a whole lot to say about this. I mean, it's just so easy, but I want to get this information and resources out there because a lot of people are getting to that high school age, and what many parents do is they kind of get scared and they put their kids back in public school, or they put their kids in public school or private school because they're afraid they won't get into college. But I have actually seen and talked to parents who have homeschooled their kids all the way from kindergarten up to 11th grade. In their senior year, they put them in public school so they can get a diploma and a transcript and go to college. It really just is unnecessary to do all of that, and I'll explain why. So the first thing that you're gonna need is a transcript, okay? That's probably the most important thing that you're gonna need for your high schooler, and this is not difficult to make. You can do this on Excel, and there's all kinds of places if you just Google it. There are all kinds of places online where you can buy a template for your computer to make a transcript. You can do this on your own computer. Super easy. And you just have pretty much the same information that a high schooler in your state would have on their transcript. It's pretty basic. It's like their name, their social security number, and all the classes that they have taken with their grades and a GPA. Now the GPA is probably the most complicated part of this, but I just used a GPA calculator and it was super easy. Just type in your web browser GPA calculator and that's it. You just plug and play with all of your numbers. This is actually pretty easy, and it's just something that I started when my oldest was in high school, and I have one going now for my youngest who is in 9th grade, and I just kept it on my computer as a document. So this is not complicated at all. If you can work a program like Excel, it takes you just a couple minutes every year just to write down the classes, write down the grades they get, and put in their GPA. That's it, easy peasy. Do that for grades 9, 10, 11, and 12, and make sure that everything is signed off. That's it. That is all you have to do, and you have a transcript. The next thing you're going to need is maybe, and this is kind of a maybe, it depends on the college, okay? You might want to have a high school diploma, which again, you can order it online. It's like super, super easy. They have all kinds of places online where you can order a high school diploma, put your child's name, put the name of your school. Like in my state, we actually have to name our schools. Like our homeschool is like an established school in our state. So I would just put the name of our school name, my son's name, and that's it. I just order it and it's not that expensive. So easy peasy, not a big deal. Again, just spend a couple dollars online and your child has a high school diploma. Now this next thing is really dependent on your school and what they're going for in college, okay? So understand that. Most colleges that I looked at today still require some kind of testing. So like an ACT, SAT, a lot more schools are starting to take the CLT. Now the ACT and the SAT, you do have to go to a facility still, at least as of this year in 2025. We did this, we had to travel like an hour away to one of the schools that was putting it on, and my son took his SATs in it wasn't even that long. Like when I did it, it was a lot longer. It was at least twice as long, but he was only there for like a couple of hours and his whole SAT was done, and they do it on a computer now. So he just took our laptop, and after like 2 or 3 hours, he was done, and it was like super easy. And then you get all of your test scores online now. Like everything is set up online through a website called College Board with the SATs. So we chose the SATs, but what I would say with this is if your child is college bound, start looking at the colleges that they're interested in and see what their requirements are. That's going to be the key. And the earlier you can do this, the better, okay? So we knew that my son was going to go to the college that was here. So what I did was I looked up our local college's information. Luckily, I kind of live in a college town, and I have like, I think there's like 2 or 3 colleges within driving distance of my house. So this was pretty easy for me. Not everybody lives in a college town like I do, but a lot of people have a pretty local community college that they can do this with. Just go online and look up their requirements. It's so easy for homeschoolers to apply to college now that I didn't need it. I just had to have all the paperwork that I already had for my son and turn that in. So all I had to do was give them his transcript. He took a copy of his high school diploma and he filled out an application and put his SAT scores in. That's it. So I'm not going to sit here and say that all colleges let in homeschoolers, because I think there was one exception. I think there was just one that I have heard of, and it was just some like artsy fartsy college in California. It actually was like an art school in California that did not allow homeschoolers. But this was also 10 years ago. I don't know if it's still like that. And some of you guys might know some exceptions, but for the most part, your local and state colleges are going to allow homeschoolers, and the process is exactly the same. So what I would suggest doing is the earlier the better. Look at the college entrance requirements and see what they want from you, so you have ample amount of time to get any testing done. If they want the ACT or the SAT, you have plenty of time to do that, to take the PSAT and then the regular SAT. Make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, that type of thing. Now, what I will say is, instead of putting your kid back in public school, what you can do is something that we have done from the very beginning, and I don't want to call it a cheat code, but because we were military and we were bouncing from state to state to state, what I did the very first year we homeschooled was I put my children in a cover school. Cover school, umbrella school, is the same thing. It's a brick and mortar school, and it's not in our state. I don't like giving out the name of our cover school because my children, I have a child who's still enrolled, and nobody would give out the name of their child's school when they're a public figure. You know what I mean? It's a safety issue. I enrolled my children in a cover school, and it's a brick and mortar school that also doubles as a homeschool cover school. It's a Christian academy, it's a private school, and all I do is update attendance and grades, and I follow their state laws as well as my own. So I'm following 2 state laws here, and which isn't hard because there's so much overlap that there's Like, I don't think I actually have to do anything else. It's honestly exactly the same for both of our states. And what I do is I pay the fees every year to have them in the school. And then at the end, they get to participate in graduation, they get a diploma, and they get a transcript. But I also gave my kids the same thing for me personally. So like, they have a personal transcript from me that looks identical to the one that they got from their cover school. And they can also get a diploma through me. Most people that I know here that homeschool, they do it the old-fashioned way with no cover school. We only did that because we were military and I needed someplace that had all of our records at once. And that made my life infinitely easier. So if it got lost in a move, because if you're military, you understand how easily things get lost in a move. Like, I've seen the craziest thing get lost. So if I ever had any loss of records or anything like that, all I had to do was just go online back to the school and request that paperwork. So it made my life so much easier, because the homeschool laws vary from state to state. And when you are bouncing around every couple of years, you really just need one set of standards that you can just go back to no matter what. So that made my life much, much easier as a military wife. And I've just kept going to that school even though my husband recently retired. So we just have our kids still enrolled in there because we just like them. And their graduation ceremony was awesome. It was really cool. My son really enjoyed it. We got graduation photos. All the family came. Really, really cool experience. So I was really glad that I did that. That was probably one of the better things that I did as a military homeschooling family. So that made my life infinitely easier when it came time to graduation, but it's exactly the same. I kept all the same records for myself as well as at the school. So it's not necessary. It's really, really not necessary to do that. So, but if you can, there's an option. There's another option for you. All right, that's all I have for this video. I hope that it was helpful for some of you who have kids that are getting older. You got to start thinking about some of these things. I hate that I have children that are going through this already, because I'm not like, your kids are ready, but sometimes your mind and your heart is not ready. So if you are there, I understand. I do. I understand to the fullest extent, and it's a hard place to be some days. But I did want to make this video for some of you who, like me, you know, your younger ones are starting to grow, and your older ones are starting to grow, and you're getting close to the end, and you might be panicking. You do not have to put your kids in public school. I promise you. To get a diploma, you can do that all on your own. It's so easy. You just pay a couple bucks online and they get a diploma. And remember, there's lots of places. Just use Google or ask ChatGPT. You know, like, there's plenty of places where you can get a template online to make a transcript. Actually, Canva probably has one. Now that I think about it, I bet you can use Canva and make a transcript that you can edit and add anything that you need in there. And there's all kinds of example transcripts online too. So just look for an example transcript for your state. Easy peasy. It's not nearly as stressful as I think most people probably make it out to be. It's really not that stressful. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day and happy homeschooling.